It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and as you can tell, we're into the football season, and it's going to be our Super Bowl special. And here's my co-host, Miss Callie. Oh, Callie, come here. Come here, Callie. Callie, come here. Got feet. Oh. Hurry up. It's only a half-hour show, Callie. Yeah. Here she comes. Yeah. Oh, in position. All the way around, all the way back, all the way back. Come on. Oh, pretty girl. Oh, she got to put power on. It's like coincidences. Yeah. Well, on today's show, we got quite a few special treats to make. And today, we're going to start out with a favorite of everybody's, a Philly steak sandwich. Think that goes really good, Callie? She'll be out of here in 2 seconds as soon as I turn on this stove. What? Do you like that sound? We'll put the question back in, Callie, and answer that next at the end of the show. You ready to go ahead? I know you are. So first of all, we need to cut up our vegetables, and we're going to saute these off first. And I've just got my yellow onion here, and you can slice these into thin or thick slices. It doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. I like to go a little on the thicker side, not too thick, because you don't want them too heavy, because you're not going to have too much onto your sandwich. Too thin, they're going to saute up really quickly, and then you're going to have like burnt onions almost. And now we'll just take and put these on a separate plate here, so that we can slice up our green pepper. Now while we're slicing this up, I have my steak. Usually you can get like a flank steak is great. I found a round steak that was already pre-sliced real thin. So I got that in the freezer right now, and that can be in there for about 25 minutes, just to harden up a little bit. We don't want to freeze it, but we want to firm it up, so that when we slice it thin into strips, it's easier to cut while it's frozen. Then we just cut our green peppers into thin strips too. Now you can cut these as thick or as thin as you want to also, but remember to take out that membrane, that's the white pith on the inside, because that's very bitter, and we don't want to have that into our sandwich. Or even in your salads, etc. that you make, whenever you do clean up a pepper, take out that white pith on the inside here. So that's very bitter. Then, these are going to look like they're going to be quite long strips. So I'm going to cut this in half widthwise first, and then I'll cut these into strips. Now if you want to use the whole long one, that's fine. That's your own personal preference. But remember now, you want to have everything to be somewhat the same size. Because if you have too long of things, too long peppers, onions, etc., they're going to be hanging out all over your sandwich. And you want to try to keep it as uniform as possible. You know, there's exceptions to the rule. It all depends on your taste and what you care for or don't care for. But that just makes it a little bit more prettier. And we're going to do it the same thing too with our mushrooms and with our steak. But I want to put all my vegetables first here on one plate, so that when I saute these, I'm going to do them different from the meat. Because if you do the meat and vegetables together, the vegetables will get way overcooked, because they cook up real quickly. It's like a stir fry. Same thing when you do your stir fries, you take and you do your meat first, then you add your vegetables, so they stay light and crisp. And that's basically what we're trying to do here too also. And with the mushrooms, make sure you wash and clean them. And then just slice them up. These you can slice up a little thin or thick, it's all your own preference. But remember to wash them out, because they're very dirty when they come in. And an easy way too is, I just rinse them off under the water, but if you take a paper towel and wet it, or even a dishcloth and wet it, and then just rub the outside of the mushroom, that gets rid of that little fine membrane that's got all the dirt from. And that comes off just really slick. So those are our veggies. I'll just put these aside and grab the meat. This one here is a sirloin tip steak. So this is going to give it a nice flavor. It was on sale. But a round steak works just as fine because they're just as cheap. You can use any type of meat, I suppose you want to technically, but I like to use something that's easier to cut, more in this. What are you doing, back and forth? Spying. Crinkle, crinkle. And I just cut this into long thin strips. You can make these shorter if you want to. But since they are so thin, it's almost like a minute steak. You know, the steakums, that's that thin. And by being that thin, this is gonna cook up really fast. So that's another reason not to have your vegetables and meat all at the same time. You wanna time these out. But I have a feeling that the temperature for the vegetables is gonna take a little bit longer because they are cut a little bit thicker. And if your steak is cut thicker, then it'll be just the opposite. But this steak here is already pre-sliced, thin. So these strips should heat up once they hit the frying pan. It's going to be like a stir fry. They're going to cook up very, very fast. And we'll just take and put these together. And we'll be right back. Okay, now we got the frying pan heated up here, and I just sprayed a little oil in it. I want to put it a little on the heavier side, especially since this meat is very lean. We're not going to have any fat to cook it. So you want to put a little bit in. You could even just probably pour in your vegetable oil if you wanted to. But we're just going to take and just stir fry all this meat up. Raw meat, Callie. She won't come up. Not what you hear, that's sizzling on the frying pan. Nope, just stay hidden. And what I like to do, you can put a little salt and pepper on this while it's cooking. But I've got a Kansas City steak seasoning to give it a little bit more of a bite to it. Not too heavy, but I love a little bite to my meat. Not so bland. This is a nice mixture of peppercorns and salt and peppers and different seasonings all mixed in together. This is all, one step. Wonderful. You probably couldn't tell I got a whole drawer full of seasonings. I got tons of seasonings. That one, and up here for baking, another one over there for baking and cooking. Gotta have. So now we'll take it, fry these up until they're nice and tender and all the way cooked through. And as these stir and fry up, we'll let these go. And then we can start on our vegetables. And then we'll just take and add our vegetables. So I'm going to sprinkle just a little touch of Italian seasoning on the top, not a whole lot, but that has a combination of all the flavors that I would like. And these are starting to brown just slightly on the edges. So we'll be taking these off and setting these aside, and then we can put our sandwiches together. Oh, we got a visitor. Where? Oh, you're such a Snoopy, big-nosed doggy, aren't you? Now I took and already toasted or broiled the buns in the toaster oven, and now we're going to assemble these. But we're going to put on our meat first on the bottom bun. You waiting for accidentals to fall there, Callie? I got to tell you, Callie's Ellie too. She's doing really good. She's recuperating really nice from her cancer surgery. Got a big old bump on her back right hip bone there. Anyway, so there's our meat. Look at you. Look at you. Just waiting. And then we'll just take and top this off with our lovely vegetables. These are nice and crispy, and I'll get a close-up of this too just before I put them under. I'll show you this, how lovely the vegetables are. And with this, we're going to take and put on our Swiss cheese. And this is going to go right on the top. And we'll put this all under the broiler until the cheese is nice and bubbly. Let's see, Callie, I think we're going to need 2 pieces per sandwich, not just 1. Crinkle, crinkle. Hear that sound, crinkle, crinkle. You know something, you know there's food. And then I'll just get a second slice, and I put these on an angle, as you saw, just to make it look pretty. I'll do the same with this, and then we'll just broil these for just a couple minutes or until that cheese starts to bubble. Now these are the lovely Philly steak sandwiches. Aren't they lovely, Callie? Nice and oozy, goozy, cheesy. Now for the presentation for your fans, your family, friends coming over, so then we can just take and move these over onto another plate and cut them on an angle, and that way it gets a nice presentation to them, and you can take and serve more on a plate for your guests. And this gives it just a nice, lovely look. You can just stack these sandwiches up any way you'd like. You might want to stick a toothpick in, a long one in there, just to keep them together so they don't fall apart. These are holding up just nice, but it just gives it a little fancier throw. So from Callie and I, cheer on your favorite team and happy Super Bowl. Okay, now we're back to our second recipe, and this we're going to be making our chili con queso. Now you can see you can make any type of chili, and everybody has their own favorites. There's like 1,001 recipes out there for chili. So you just take and make your own favorite chili. All I did was browned off my ground beef and added my dark red kidney beans, some diced tomatoes, and make sure to add to the tomato paste. That's going to thicken it up. And then I happen to have chili powder from California and Mexico when I went up to Phoenix still. And I just threw in about a 1/3 cup of that. And it's a really good dark chili. And for a little touch of Roy, what I learned from Pam Sherman was to add a little bit of unsweetened chocolate. And that melts into it and gives it a nice dark rich flavor. So now we have our chili. So now we're going to take and make it con queso, which means with cheese. And we have like the Velveeta cheese spread. This here we just cut up and dice up into little chunks, and you can throw that into your chili. And I'm going to put in about a 1/3 of the box of the nacho cheese, the Velveeta. This is a different brand. It's called Clancy's. You get it at Aldi's. Same thing, but it's much, much cheaper. And it's a 1/3 less fat than cheddar cheese, too. So we're just going to put this in with our chili and let this sit until that absorbs and starts to melt. And then we just have our chili con queso. Now you can do the same thing, like I said, with taco meat. And instead of having just chili, you can actually do both. Brown up half for your chili and half for your tacos, and then just add your own seasonings to that. You can take and just do the taco meat, brown off your meat, add just one of those little packets of taco seasoning, and there you go, your instant taco meat. And then you want to add a cheese to that, but you want it a little bit more on the soupier side because you want to have some liquid to it. So instead of just water, add your tomato sauce to it instead, and that's going to give it much more richer flavor. I even take and sometimes use my own home canned, what do they call it? It's the canned tomato, celery, and onion mixed together. And you just pour a jar of that into your taco seasoning, and that gets a nice rich flavor, but it's very liquidy. So then you need to add your little can of paste to it to thicken it up. And that'll give it a more tomatoey consistency, more tomato flavor to it. You don't want it watered down, so you don't want to add all water to it. Whenever possible, any of those little hand mixes that you use, instead of adding water, if you have like chicken broth or even beef broth instead of water, that gives it even more richer flavor and tastes so much nicer. This cheese is almost completely melted already. Ooh, Callie chili and cheeses. And then we can just put this into a bowl and serve it that way. But what I like to do for just a little fun is I want to serve it in the football helmet. What I'm going to do is just take the bowl and fill this full of my chili and cheese. Now for the chili and cheese, traditionally you want like Fritos to go with it. And for the taco and cheese, you want to take and use your tortilla chips. Now Fritos also has a chip now that's the dip chip, which is like the scoopers, which that way you can scoop up a lot of the chili and the sauces. And you can just put that around the bowl too. What I'm going to do is I put that in, and then I set this in the middle of the bowl. there. And then I'm just gonna put this over here for now. Hold that up to keep from spilling. Is you just take a wet towel. And this is where you can use your team colors or mascots, etc. And just wrap this up into a circle. Make sure it's wet, because then that'll hold better. And then you can place your helmet right into the center of that coil. And that really snugly fits in there and holds it really good there. Keeps it from falling. So people can either dip right in there, or you can put your ladle in there and they can dip out of there. But it just gives it a more festive look to have it inside the football helmet. I tried to put this on Callie and it looks so cute on her, but this part of the bow doesn't bend up and down. Otherwise it would have fit her just perfectly. She looked so cute. And she didn't try to fight it off either. This is going to be our chili and cheese. And then you just surround it with your favorite chips. And if you wanted to, if you want it to be more of an even finer dip rather than chunky, I even take my immersion wand, you know, the one I use for making soups and gravies. And then we can take our immersion wand and just buzz this all up together. And that makes a nice smooth consistency. Then you really have a nice smooth dipping sauce. So you can do that for your chili or for your taco. Either one will work just fine. And then this is your chili and cheese dip. Just you serve it in the helmet. Dip right in, see? So this is another treat from the Northwoods. Chili and cheese for the Super Bowl. Ain't that gonna be fun, Callie? Okay, what's those tasty treats? Now we want something a little more of a sweet treat that's quick and easy to make. And this here is, we're gonna be making is our puppy chow. And what this is our checked party mix. I have about 2 cups in here. And I'm gonna add, this one doesn't have peanuts in it. So I'm gonna add a little bit more nuts to it. And I'll probably put in, you can put in, you know, as much or little as you want. I'll probably put in like about a half a cup or so. Some of these checked party mixes, they all taste pretty good. And they're all very salty. But we want to sweeten them up because the sweet and salty combination everybody just loves. And so what we're going to do is in your Pyrex measuring cup or any type of microwave safe bowl, you can put in your white almond bark. And I cut up 6 squares. And that's about a quarter, about a half cup. And 6 squares of my white almond bark. And I'm sure you still got a lot of that left over from the holidays. But just melt that down for 2 minutes and then stir it and then see if there's any chunks in there. Make sure it's chopped up quite fine. And then stir it up until all those chunks are melted. And if it still isn't melted yet after stirring for a little couple minutes, then zap it back in for 15-second intervals. You don't want to go any higher because you're going to scorch it. Chocolate is very easy to burn. So we just take and pour this in over our entire mix. And then we'll just take and toss this together and then spread it out on the sheet to cool completely and to harden. Or you can just throw it out on the deck in this weather. It'll cool off rather quickly. This one you don't want to toss with your hands because it's the hot chocolate. You don't want to burn yourself. But this is our instant puppy chow, and this is a great, wonderful snack. And just toss it to coat evenly. And you can add more pretzels to this if you wanted to, or like I did, peanuts. But you want your little salty snacks in here. And then we'll just take and spread this out on a sheet. And we'll just let this cool completely then until it re-hardens. And then you can just break it up into pieces by hand so you don't smash it into fine pieces. You still want to keep the whole cereals together. And this is our puppy chow. And this is a wonderful little snack. Great, it's very addictive. Once you start eating this, you'll eat it until it's all done. Sometimes you might even want to throw in your leftover colored M&Ms too if you'd like to. That works out nice in there. But this is something very simple and easy to make. And so we hope you enjoy this, and we'll show you when it cools off what it looks like. And now this, this is our checked puppy chow mix. With just the checked party mix and the almond bark melted and poured all over. and then just let it cool. I had it spread out on the sheet outside where it's very cold at this time of year, and so it cooled down quite rapidly. And then you just break it up into small pieces. You don't have to take and break it up all the way. You don't want to break up the chunks of cereal, but just break it up into big chunks, and then you got your party mix. And this is a favorite with everybody. They just love this, and this will be gone right away. So I hope you enjoy this, the Puppy Chow mix. Okay, now those Puppy Chow treats are really good, weren't they? Callie likes them too. Don't you, Callie? Oh, give me up and on the cup of sugar. Wow, here we go. Next, we're going to go on to our final recipe, and this is going to be our chicken Caesar wraps. And for this, all we need is just your flour tortilla and your classic Caesar dressing. Just spread out, squeeze a little bit of this onto your tortilla, and then I just like to use the back of a spoon and spread this around on the tortilla. You could also take and just put all this mixture that's in the tortilla in a bowl and toss it like you would a salad, and then you can just lay that onto your tortilla. I like to do it this way because then I get more moisture from the dressing onto the tortilla so it isn't so dry. I don't like to bite into wraps that are really dry. Then we'll just take and put on our romaine lettuce. I'll sprinkle that towards like the bottom third of the tortilla. And then just place your chicken strips on here. Now I just took a chicken breast with herb and garlic seasoning and baked those in the oven for about 20 minutes. Pound them out real thin. You don't want that thick part to cook, overcooked, you know. And then I just cook those off for about 20-25 minutes at 350. And then I just cut them into strips. Then I have my chicken with herb garlic seasoning on it, and the romaine and Caesar's dressing on the tortilla. Then we sprinkle that with a little bit of your Parmesan cheese, and I like to get the fresh grated Parmesan. And this actually is a Parmesan Asiago cheese blend together. So it's a little less expensive. It's not quite super expensive as pure Parmesan. Then we put on a couple of our croutons of Caesar flavored croutons, and that's it. Then you just take and roll this up. You put the sides in first, and then bring up the back. And you just want to roll this rather on the tight side. And then that's it for your Caesar wrap. Now we can take and cut this in half diagonally, and put toothpicks in, and then we can have some little mini sandwiches, which is what I probably end up doing. And then these are our chicken Caesar wraps. And you can just make a bunch of them and stack them up for game day, and then you have a big platter of chicken Caesar wraps, more on the healthier side. And they're wonderful to eat as little snacks, half ones like this. And these are the wonderful chicken Caesar wraps. Just bursting with flavors, yummy. They're easier to eat. They're not as messy as some of your other finger foods are. And healthy too at the same time. You can make a big palette of these. And these go really fast too. People just love the chicken Caesar wraps. So we hope you enjoyed these on your Super Bowl game day too. Well, we hope you enjoyed our show today, our episode on Super Bowl cooking. Fun and fast treats to make and quick and easy. Well, we made a lot in a short period of time, didn't we, Callie? Oh. In fact, they're waiting for samples. Well, Callie, let's answer the mail and see who wrote us this week. This one, Kelly. Oh, yeah. Put me out for the mail now. Dear Uncle Roy and Miss Callie. I've been getting a lot of seed catalogs in the mail lately, and I'm wanting to order some seeds. I want to try some herbs this year, some basil and thyme, etc. What's the best way and how do I grow them indoors? Signed, Lisa of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, oh gosh, I've been getting just tons of those seed catalogs in the mail too. And You can start them from seed if you want to, which is fun to do and try. But I like to, I've done that so many years and so many times, and I would get too stringy or whatever, and I just like to buy them right out of the greenhouses or farmer's market, already grown for you. Boom, there you go, they're ready and they're fully grown. You just plant them when it comes time to plant. But to grow them indoors can be fun, and you have to do it on a timing schedule. Now, if you, like a friend of mine, she wants to plant basil, and I said, yeah, that's fine. But if you plant your seeds in your little container that you get, you know, you can all get those kits and everything else, and they're self-explanatory. But like basil seeds, the finer the seed, the lighter it goes into as far as digging deep. Like basils and all those other really fine, tiny seeds, you just sprinkle those on top of the dirt and just pat the dirt on top of that and just lightly misty water them. But the thing is you gotta watch them and be careful. You want to grow them near full sunlight. Herbs have to have full sun, and any of your seeds need full sun to start out with. Having them near the window as close as possible is fine, but as they start to grow, they're going to get long and stringy stretching to the window, which is what I hate. You want to have direct light on top of them. The best way would be to get a grow light, like underneath the cupboard, or if you have like a spotlight type clip-on, you can put in a grow light inside of that to shine down on them. The closer the light, the better, without burning the leaves, and gradually work your way up as the plant starts to grow. If you have them too far up, they want to stretch for that light. If you have them near the window, they want to stretch towards the sunlight, and then you get long and stringy, and then you don't get a healthy plant. You get just all stringy. So that's why I always like to buy the plant itself from the market, already grown, because you're not fighting that, reaching for the sun, and they get all long and stringy. Because they grow them in the greenhouse, they're short, they're healthy, they're firm, and you got a nice sustenance to them. So my best bet would be to buy them after, you know, when you can get them at the greenhouse. If you insist on buying them, make sure that you have your light source close to the plant as possible. Get a grow light and just adjust that grow light in height-wise as the plants grow. You don't want them too close because you're going to burn them. You don't want them too far up above them because then they're going to strive for that light, and it's going to stretch them out, and you get long and stringy, and you don't become a healthy plant then. I hope that answers your question, Lisa. And from, Miss Callie and I, she's waiting for another tweet already. We want to say, eat healthy, be safe, spread the sunshine, and happy Super Bowl, everyone. Bye-bye.